Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode of Coaching Conversations. And I wanted to make you aware of something very cool that we're doing on a subscription basis, and we'll put a link in each one of our episodes. But every Wednesday, we're going to be doing what we call an audio podcast workshop. That workshop will be roughly about 14 to maybe 20 minutes per episode, with each month having a theme from a coaching model, using feedback strategically, to coaching self-awareness, and so on. So if you could look in the body or in the content description of each episode, and you will see a link where you can join this subscription. These are literally 4 workshops every month teaching specific strategies to address a particular area of workplace coaching as it relates, again, to things like awareness, motivation, teamwork, and what have you. Here's the cool thing. It's only $10 per month, and each month you will get a handout that we will follow along with. So we also give you a tool for you to take notes as we go through each episode. We hope you'll check it out.
When we coach or we manage our people, we all battle, and we hear it all the time in our business, the word accountability. And when we think about accountability, we think about responsibility, meeting deadlines, coming through. And so often when we work with organizations, and we certainly hear it from other people, is people are not as accountable as they used to be. Now, we can do the generational thing. We can talk about millennials and Gen X, but I really think it comes down to really defining what is accountability. So let me give you 2 examples. First, sit down with an employee who's struggling with this and say, you know what, Bob, I don't want to make assumptions. When you hear the word accountability, what goes through your mind specifically? Find out what they think about accountability. Here's why. A lot of times people have moving definitions. They have moving targets of interpretation. Number 2, let's take something in accountability such as missing a deadline. So when we think about missing a deadline and we think about accountability, sit down with an employee, have a really good conversation of their understanding of accountability, and then ask the question. So Bob, let's take a deadline, for example. Without exceptions, what is your understanding, or what do you think should be done, or what would be your management or coaching suggestion if you or others were to miss a deadline? Now, some of you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, they're not managers. Right, but they've never been asked that question. It's an accountability question. Think about it. When was the last time your manager said, what's your understanding of accountability and what should be done without exception? Notice what I put, a rule of engagement, without exception. If you miss a deadline, what should happen? What would be your suggestions? And you put them in the chair of management. See, a lot of times what happens is people miss deadlines or lose their framework of accountability because things come up. I was busy. I started to get behind. I was overwhelmed with other suggestions. I just can't handle this because so many things are coming in. And what people do at the expense of accountability is they come up with their own interpretation and definition of what accountability is. Sometimes subconsciously, they even change the definition. And again, going back to one of my infamous jokes, people will change their job descriptions. They just don't send you the memo. They will also change their interpretation of the rules associated with accountability. So when you're describing accountability or you're having that discussion, share with your employees. So Bob, without exception, we can agree to hold each other accountable with this definition. We can agree to these terms. And a lot of times it's really just reestablishing accountability. I think deep down people know they come up with excuses. They're never going to say it. So think about when you're coaching for accountability and ask them, as an example, when missing deadlines, what management suggestion would you give me? It's amazing. They don't know what to do, but it gets them thinking from a different perspective, which raises their awareness of the responsibility associated with accountability. Good luck. Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagen and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21 day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.